Hi there, everyone. This is Josh Rugger here, live in studio. Hurricane Ian is nearing landfall right now. In fact, it's imminent. And really, if you look at radar right now, it is very close to officially making landfall. Dan will be here in a few minutes, I'm sure, to talk about this. But I wanted to go ahead and fire up the Facebook Live since we were so close to landfall right now. It could happen within the next few minutes or so. So I wanted to give you the latest update on it. It is a major hurricane right now. Everybody knows that, but rapid intensification last night. It maxed out at a very high end Cat 4. In fact, we were only 2 miles per hour off it officially being a Cat 5. It had max sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and take a look at Mega Doppler right now to see the latest on this major hurricane as it makes landfall right now. And yes, it's very impressive, as you can see there. And look at all these reports that are coming in along the coast here with this hurricane near Cape Coral. And really, the track was nailed here in terms of where this is actually setting up. But what makes this storm so potent right now is the fact that it's staying right along the coast right here. You notice the eye wall is staying right along the coast. That's allowing for that storm surge and those stronger winds to stay right along these areas here. So you notice Punta Gorda, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Pineland was hit very hard earlier and probably still is right now. In fact, it's in the eye right now, but it had a lot of that eye wall going through it, and it's the eastern eye wall as well. Now, one thing that is really just impressive about this hurricane is all the lightning that you're seeing here. In fact, look at all this lightning that's near just to the south of Northport, right south of Venice, north of Minnesota Key. Look at all that lightning. I mean, it's something you don't see very often with hurricanes, and that just shows how strong this really is right now. Getting a comment from Chris Paxton, my friend in Fort Myers, says his electricity is on and off. Chris, is he down there right now? Because that is wow. I mean, very very scary situation down there right now in the west coast of Florida near Fort Myers. I mean, this area is getting hit the hardest right now. In fact, the eastern eye wall is now hitting Fort Myers, as you can see here on Mega Doppler. So, very, very powerful hurricane right now. And in fact, I'm getting a call. Hold on just 1 second. I'm going to mute that. Sorry, folks. Don't want that ringing in the background. But yeah, very powerful hurricane. Let's check out some of these storm reports we're getting too. Chris, yes, they are riding it out. Well, Chris, thought I'm keeping them in my prayers for sure because that's tough right there. This is a very powerful hurricane going through Fort Myers right now. I mean, the worst of it's going through right now. So keeping them in the thoughts and prayers. My friend in Tampa has been evacuated to Orlando. Big prayers for all dealing with the storm. Yes, and Orlando's going to have some big impacts as well. In fact, if you look at these outer bands, still very prolific tornado maker. You could see more tornado warnings being issued on these outer bands right now as we zoom in here on Mega Doppler just to the south of Deer Park right now. You can see that tornado warning. Oh, there's another one right there. I mean, these storms just the photographs favor tornadoes with this particular hurricane, and it's very, very prolific. But let's check out some of these storm reports real quick. So 106 mile per hour gust, 2 miles southeast of Solana. Hope I'm saying that right, in Charlotte County. 106 mile per hour gust. That's as the eye wall is moving through right now. Pineland, which was hit extremely hard by this hurricane and is still getting hit hard. Large limbs are snapping off hardwood trees. Water is covering the ground. Big time storm surge being seen. We're watching Reed Timmer's videos and live streams. And yes, just huge storm surge going on there near Pineland. 126 mile per hour gust located 2 miles northeast of Captiva. And yeah, this area right here is a spot you do not want to be in for sure. 100 mile per hour gust reported at the Redfish Pass Mesonet site. Let's see southeast here. 97 mile per hour gust reported at St. James City Mesonet site. There's a 95 mile an hour gust, a 101 mile per hour gust right there, just to the south of Cape Coral. Let's see here. 107 mile per hour gust at Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach. Let's see what this is. Multiple social media posts from Fort Myers Beach showing storm surge levels up to first-story roofs. Okay, so here's a storm surge report, and remember, the eastern eye wall is the worst part of the storm because that's where that water is getting churned up towards the shore. Right, that's the direction it's moving. So Fort Myers Beach, first-story storm surge, or storm surge up to first-story roofs. So we're talking 12 feet of storm surge plus, if that's the case, if that report verifies, that's deadly. That's insane. That's catastrophic. And I believe it too, because again, Eastern Iowa, this is where we expected to see the worst of it. Naples, I'm assuming, probably got some big time storm surge as well. Let's look here. Wind gusts of 94 miles per hour was measured at the Earth Network site near Kaylee Bay. Hope I'm saying that right. Let's see, just to the west of Vineyards. 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts near the Naples Grande Beach Resort. 112-mile-per-hour gust at the beach resort as well. Sustained winds of 65 miles per hour. So remember, this is an important thing to remember when it comes to hurricanes, right, and their categories and their strength. Sustained winds are what the categories are, how the categories are determined, right? So we could have a wind gust of 165 miles per hour, but it's not the max sustained winds. The max sustained winds are 155 miles per hour. It's only a category 4, right? So thankfully, we haven't seen any reports yet of 155 mile per hour gust. But remember, it hasn't even made landfall yet. I know when you look here at this map and you see that the where the eye is and this eye wall is, it's not until the center of the eye is over land is when the hurricane is considered to be making landfall. So still not official yet, but I'm keeping an eye right now on my phone to make sure that we let you know when landfall has officially happened. All right, let's look at some more reports here real quick. 105-mile-per-hour wind gust at the Naples Municipal Airport Tower at 1:52 p.m. So that's Eastern time. Remember that. So that was about an hour ago when that report was made. And I'll get to some of the comments in just a minute. Just want to look through all these reports first because we know we've got friends and family who that may be impacted by the storm. So we want to see what these reports are first, and then we'll answer some of the questions anybody may have. Dan will probably be here in a few as well, so he'll be able to further evaluate. Okay, so this is a tropical storm report. 62-mile-per-hour gust at the Naples Municipal Airport. We saw that. Just 2.8 miles southeast of Naples and 69-mile-per-hour gust. So look here. And here's a very crazy thing about this storm that I'm hearing, at least by people who are chasing this. This storm has a tight pressure gradient, right? So if you're right now, let's say we zoom in here. If you're, let's say near Hull, right? There's reports of people getting within about 10 to 20 miles per hour of the outer eye wall, and they were getting a pressure of like 995 and tropical storm wind gusts. That's not a very big wind field in terms of those hurricane winds, but it tells you just how strong this thing is if the pressure gradient's that tight. Because in this eye wall, we've had reports of the pressure dropping under 930 millibars. So very tight pressure gradient with the storm. Very, very powerful hurricane, and it's really causing a lot of problems. And here's the scariest part about this hurricane that I've noticed, and that just is horrifying to me, is that this thing is just staying right along the coast here. It's really slowed down. It's not moving directly northeast, really. It's almost like it's wobbling to the north just a little bit. It's still moving northeast, but it's almost like it's wobbling to the north just a little bit. So that means that eye wall is just churning over these same areas and bringing more storm surge to spots that have already seen it. So definitely a very, very powerful hurricane that we're dealing with here. One of the strongest to ever make landfall. In fact, I'll talk about more about that in just a minute. Another tropical storm report near Barfield Elementary School, a gust of 61 miles per hour. So look at that. You see how tight, once again, that pressure gradient is. You're getting tropical storm reports, within 20, 30 miles away from the eye wall. But in the eye wall itself, that's where you're getting those hurricane force winds. All right. Look at all these tornado reports too. Remember, we talked about prolific tornado maker, to say the least. I'm going to be interested to see how many tornadoes were in this hurricane when all is said and done, because it's got to be up there with some of the biggest, for sure. Definitely a Rita type storm in that regard, with all the tornado reports we're seeing, and more of them are occurring right now. All right, let's go to the comments real quick here. Let's see some of the questions that everybody has here, or thoughts, so we can keep an eye on things that are going on. Stacy, my sister's house in Key West had some flooding. And yes, Key West was getting absolutely hammered yesterday, Stacy. But the good news is it looks like just the outer bands are what's being dealt with. But look at all this. Look at all these tropical storm reports that were here in Key West. We were doing a live stream yesterday. We were seeing the what was going on in Key West live. Huge waves going on. And again, that wasn't even with the eye wall going through Key West. Thankfully, the eye wall missed Key West last night, but still, I mean, it shows you how powerful this hurricane truly is. And the rapid intensification last night was really, I mean, it wasn't unexpected. We expected a Category 4 hurricane to make landfall. That was what the intensity track showed. Um, but just how powerful this thing is, almost a Category 5 at landfall, is just unbelievable. And really just shows that you always have to stay on your toes when it comes to these events. So still no official landfall yet. That's why I'm keeping an eye on the phone here, and we'll let you know when landfall was officially has officially occurred with the storm. Predicting 18-inch tornado touchdown confirmed also. Yeah, that trailing edge is insane, Mr. Big Feet. It is really insane what we're seeing with the storm. And these outer bands, too, are absolutely incredible. For my friend in Fort Myers, they are showing cars floating in Naples where the storm surge is minimal. Storm is just now hitting Port Charlotte, where surge will be the worst. And yes, that is correct. In fact, Dan and I were talking about that yesterday, about the storm surge situation here, because you can see this almost bay area in between Port Charlotte and Pineland and St. Jones City and Fort Myers Beach. This area right here, just water can surge through these areas and really cause a lot of problems. And unfortunately, that's where the eye wall, the eastern eye wall, is hitting. And that's really, really just terrifying to see that happen. But yes, it's really sobering for sure. Let's see, Mr. Big Feet. There's seems to be a large body of water inland. If it gets over that, it could build again. Yeah, it could. It could, Mr. Big Feet. It really hasn't weakened any, to be honest, yet. And that's the most terrifying part about it. Yes, the ears will pop as you get into that inner eye wall, especially with storms like this and the pressure gradient. Can you show what the clouds look like? Yes, I will do that, Chad. I'm going to answer a few more questions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a live stream of this storm. I'm going to try and find one for y'all, and then we can take a look at what's going on. But there is a lot of things going on right now. A lot of people that need to that may have questions, or family members that are being impacted. So we're gonna look at that first. Kyle, what's the outlook for Orlando throughout today? Good question. So Orlando, right now the outer bands are coming through. All right. So that means that the tornado potential right now is going up. You can see this cell right now heading northwest towards Orlando, and this has been a prolific tornado maker. We saw a lot of them yesterday. We're seeing a lot of them today as well. So Orlando outer bands today. Tonight, you're going to start seeing, if it accelerates a little bit more, you're going to start seeing some more impacts in Orlando, maybe some tropical storm force winds. But then tomorrow, I think, is the main event for the Orlando area, Kyle. So today, it looks like those outer bands are going to really be making an impact. And you start seeing those tropical storm force winds tonight, and then the main impacts come through tomorrow morning for Orlando. But I do think Orlando will not experience hurricane force winds, and we'll continue to hope that. But definitely strong tropical storm force winds, 54 to 73 miles per hour, definitely possible. It just happened to hit during high tide and king tide, and that was the worry. Stacy, and that's a problem, and that's what makes it slowing down so frightening as well, because that gives it more time to do even more damage here to these areas that have been getting just absolutely rolled by this. Uh, I have family in Jacksonville. Penny, I've got good news. I think that the Jacksonville area is going to be relatively okay. Now, there will be some tropical storm force impacts. You can't see it on the map right now because we're using the Miami, Florida radar, but Jacksonville's up here. Um, but I think Jacksonville is going to get some impacts. I do not think it will be major hurricane impacts like we're seeing right now, but definitely going to see some impacts. A lot of heavy rainfall. Definitely the biggest concern right now in Jacksonville, and at the very least, low end tropical storm force winds up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. So, Penny, I think your family will be okay. I don't expect a lot of storm surge once it gets up into eastern Florida later on this week. But again, still expecting some impacts and keeping them in thoughts and prayers. So it's strengthened to a Category 5, not officially. High-end Category 4 hurricane, 155-mile-per-hour winds was the latest update. And I'm going to look right now. I'm going to keep Mega Doppler up. I'm going to look right now at the latest update real quick on this computer. But still 155-mile-per-hour winds as of 1 o'clock Central. The pressure's at 937. That is unbelievably strong. Still moving north-northeast at 9 miles per hour. But, I'm kind of seeing that wobble there where it's just kind of to the north. Oh, my goodness. That's unbelievable. Let's take a look at this right here, folks. I want to show you this because I was talking to somebody about this. This is potentially hail right here. Either that or it's debris that's being circulated within the storm. That tells you how strong and powerful this hurricane truly is. And the amount of lightning too is just insane. You don't see that a lot of the times with these hurricanes. The amount of lightning that we're seeing. In fact, Jim Cantori from the Weather Channel almost got struck by lightning in a live shot. So definitely just a incredible storm. Very, very scary. And hopefully this thing can make landfall soon and weaken a little bit because it still has not officially made landfall yet. But I'm talking to some of my friends who are also, watching this hurricane and stuff like that. They think this could potentially be debris as well, either that or hail. But it's something serious. In fact, let's look at the correlation coefficient to see here to get an idea of maybe if there's debris getting thrown around. And I wouldn't doubt, honestly, if that was debris. Looking at this signature here, especially on the eastern eye wall side. I mean, that could be debris. And I wouldn't doubt it either. It's definitely a very, very powerful hurricane. High tide around 5 p.m. And that's the thing too, Larry, is that it made landfall already, or not, it hasn't made landfall yet, but it's been impacting the coast already during one high tide. Now, if it stays like this, if it keeps staying slow and not getting into land and not weakening, then it could continue to make impacts during the next high tide at 5 o'clock. Is it hitting the East Coast by Jensen Beach? Okay, I don't know where Jensen Beach is, so I'm going to look that up real quick. So stand by. Sorry, I'm not as familiar with the Florida landscape, but I'll do whatever I can to find any areas that anybody needs help with. Okay, so Jensen Beach is on the east side of Florida, like you said. And it looks like it's to the north of West Palm Beach. Right here, Jensen Beach. Okay, so I've got good news for you, Deanna. It looks like this hurricane is going, the main impacts will miss Jensen Beach. Still could have some tropical storm impacts from the storm. In fact, we're seeing some outer bands trying to go through Jensen Beach. These could produce tornadoes. So we're going to have to continue to watch that around the Jensen Beach area. You see all these tornado reports that went down earlier. Definitely need to watch those outer bands in Jensen Beach. That's probably my main concern right there for that area, to be honest, is the tornado potential. But other than that, I don't think the eye is going to go through Jensen Beach, but definitely going to potentially see some tropical storm impacts. But thankfully, it looks like the outer bands are going to be the main concern there near Jensen Beach. Good wishes from Austria. Thank you, Saab. Definitely appreciate that for sure for those people. What about Cocoa Beach? Okay, if Dan was here, he would know it right off the bat where to look. So stand by here while I do that. Okay, I'm going to look it up real quick. I'm sorry that I'm having to look some of these up, but again, I'm not as familiar with the landscape here. Okay, so Cocoa Beach is to the north of where Jensen Beach was, and I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit here. Okay. Alrighty. Port. See, Sebastian, Palm Bay. Okay, so Cocoa Beach is up here, I believe. There it is, Cocoa Beach. Okay, so you're Penny, you're asking about Cocoa Beach. Let's look here at where the hurricane's currently tracking, and I'm gonna put a track on this as well. Okay, so Cocoa Beach has got a little bit more concerns, Penny, than what Jensen Beach has. The reason why is, first of all, we got these outer bands that are going on right now. Second of all, we've got that northeasterly storm. So definitely going to see tropical storm impacts in Cocoa Beach with the storm. Not Probably not hurricane level, not looking too much in terms of storm surge, but Cocoa Beach, I believe, is in the bullseye in terms of rainfall, upwards of 10 to 15 inches plus. Cocoa Beach could see some significant rainfall with the storm. So definitely going to continue to watch that. In fact, 39-mile-per-hour wind gusts located just to the south of Cocoa Beach earlier on today. So already seeing those outer band impacts. Likely we'll see tropical storm impacts continue near Cocoa Beach throughout the next couple of days. I have friends and family in Tampa. Thankfully, Allison, it looks like Tampa, at least for everybody here, is not going to see the eye wall move through. Now, tropical storm impacts, potentially some hurricane winds could be seen near Tampa. However, I don't think we're going to see any, um, major storm surge. And there could be some storm surge. I saw a picture this morning, in fact, of the water getting sucked out of Tampa Bay, which was pretty insane. Um, but I'm not expecting major storm surge, but definitely some winds. A lot of rain continues to be expected in Tampa, but thankfully, at least for the residents in Tampa Bay, it looks like the eye wall will not go through that area, at least as of right now. But again, we saw last night how quickly things can change with these hurricanes. The rapid intensification of the storm, absolutely insane. If it hits landfall, will it dissipate? It won't dissipate, but it will weaken. That's what we're hoping right now. We're hoping that this thing weakens as quickly as possible right now, because it's meandering right now. It's staying along the coast, as you can see, and that means more storm surge, more significant impacts for those coastal areas. So it looks like, though, once it hits landfall, it will begin to weaken. What about Fort Lauderdale? Okay, Fort Lauderdale, outer bands. We saw a lot of tornadoes. I'm going to move myself out of the way here so you can see better. Fort Lauderdale, outer bands. Tornado reports have been seen all over the board. We saw a lot of tornado reports yesterday in Fort Lauderdale. Again, look at these storms here on the outer bands. These could produce tornadoes. Now, for Fort Lauderdale, in terms of the hurricane itself, in terms of the eye wall, not expecting impacts in Fort Lauderdale from it. But again, we are going to see potentially some tropical storm force winds, and the tornado potential continues to be there at Fort Lauderdale. But thankfully, at least for Fort Lauderdale, not going to see big time hurricane impacts, at least the major hurricane impacts. Okay, I might have missed it, but my friend in Tampa said it's made landfall. I'm looking here right now just to make sure, to get confirmation. Now, again, remember, Shauna, it looks like it's made landfall, right? Like, you look at this radar and you say, "Yep, that's made landfall," right? Because isn't the eye, it's part of the eye across land right now? Oops, sorry about that. Let's get back to Mega Doppler. That's not the case, actually. It only is considered to make landfall when the center of the eye is over land, right? So the center of the eye has got to be over land. So we're seeing the eye wall impacts right now along Cape Coral, along Punta Gorda, Northport, Pineland got absolutely hammered by this storm. Fort Myers, we're seeing those eye wall impacts right now. but the eye hasn't made it across land yet. Therefore, it has not officially made landfall. But I'm continuing to keep an eye on that. That's why we're in this Facebook Live right now, so we can answer everybody's questions and keep an eye on this when it makes landfall. Because once it makes landfall, that means it can start weakening, and that's what we want to see. But until then, this right here is just absolutely devastating right now. Absolutely devastating. Okay. I hope I'm saying this right. Zephyr Hills, Florida. All right, Deanna. Well, I'm going to look that up right now for you. So bear with me real quick. Stand by. Okay. So Zephyr Hills looks like it is just to the north of Tampa. Here it is right here. Okay. For Zephyr Hills, I would say tropical storm impacts for sure. But inland, first of all, does help. That means no storm surge impacts expected near Zephyr Hills. But tropical storm impacts, major flash flooding concerns, inland flooding concerns with the amount of rainfall we could see near Zephyr Hills. And again, tornado potential. It's crazy to me, but tornado potential is very high with this storm, especially in the outer bands. As you can see right here, if I take myself out of the picture here, you'll see in just a minute here that tornado warning pop up right there on the southeast side. So tornado potential very high with this storm. Okay. Kissimmee. I hope I'm saying that right. Yep. Similar to Zephyr Hills, but I will say this about Kissimmee. I hope I'm saying that right again. If I'm not, I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with the Florida area in terms of how to say names, so bear with me. I'm trying. But more impacts expected for sure near Kissimmee because that eye looks like, based on the current track and the position of it, could bring some impacts there if it continues to have hurricane strength. I will say this with the storm, though. It is a little bit further south than maybe what the path said yesterday. It was within the cone. They got it right in terms of the cone, but the eye itself is a little bit further south than maybe what was expected. So maybe the center of the storm won't go through Kissimmee, but tropical storm impacts, very high end tropical storm impacts, low end hurricane impacts expected near Kissimmee. Thankfully, though, being interior Florida, again, no storm surge expected. Charleston, South Carolina, Johns Island. I can't look at South Carolina right now, Trevor, but I will say this about the South Carolina area. Tropical storm impacts definitely expected with this storm in South Carolina. Maybe not hurricane. We'll have to watch and see how far it curves back out into the ocean. And just because it goes out into the ocean doesn't mean it's going to re-strengthen again. But we'll have to continue to watch that to see if we have any more strengthening. What about Lake Placid? Okay, let's look that up. Again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the names. Okay, so Lake Placid, just to the northeast of Fort Myers. There it is right there. Okay. Hurricane impacts definitely expected near Lake Placid for sure. Based on the current position of the storm in the north-northeast turn, eyewall will make it to Lake Placid, Camden. So if you have family there or people still there, you need to tell them that they need to expect hurricane impacts there. Now, thankfully, it's interior Florida, right? So maybe not a lot in the way of storm surge. So I do see a pretty big-time body of water here, which makes me worried about the flooding concern for sure. I mean, when you're talking 15 to 20-plus inches of rain, definitely big-time concerns there. But prepare for hurricane impacts in Lake Placid. In fact, I'm pretty sure tropical storm winds are already being seen there, and the eye wall will probably make it. Okay. Let's see here. Vero Beach. Okay. I'll look that up for you real quick. Vero Beach, Florida. Okay. Eastern Florida. North of Palm City. So let's take a look here. I'm gonna move you out of the way here, Penny, but I'll get to it right now. Vero Beach. There it is right there. Okay. Again, outer bands. Those outer bands of the storms. Definitely tornado potential. But again, it's in an area where that eye wall could be impacting it. Now, thankfully, it's going to have to make it through a pretty good chunk of interior Florida in order to hit Vero Beach, Penny. But Still expecting tropical storm impacts there. Cape Coral, what's the latest? Bad right now, Larry. Bad. I want to get a live stream up soon. I want to answer everybody's questions first before I do that, Larry. But Cape Coral, major damage being reported. I've seen a lot of videos of major flooding near the Pineland area, which is near Cape Coral. And it's in that area right now of the eastern eye wall, unfortunately, where that big time storm surge comes into play. Very scary scene in Cape Coral right now. And still on that eye wall. It's still on that eastern eye wall right now. And that's just bad news for sure. Yep. Not quite landfall yet. Not quite landfall yet. Still 20 miles off Punta Gorda per CNN. And yeah, I believe it. The center of the eye, remember, that's what's considered to be landfall. And that's that's how it works. And as long as it's not made landfall yet, it's going to continue to cause major impacts to these coastal cities here. Fort Walton clear. That's where my mom is. That's good that it's clear there, Alexis. I'll go ahead and give you an update though, real quick here, just to make sure. Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Yep, Fort Walton's in the clear. In the northern part of Florida, I just checked it out. You should be good there in Fort Walton. In fact, maybe not even a drop of rain. Maybe get a few outer bands at most. But Fort Walton is in the clear with this storm. Port Charlotte. Okay, I think Port Charlotte is near Pineland, but I'm going to make sure real quick, just to make sure for you. Port Charlotte, Florida. Oh yeah, bad news right there, Bobby. Bad news for Port Charlotte. That's in a very bad area right now with the storm. Thankfully, I guess the silver lining is right now, even though the eye wall is hitting Port Charlotte, it is on the northern side, more northern side. It's not really on the eastern side, like these areas like Cape Coral, Fort Myers Beach, Pineland. Major flooding being seen there. Major storm surge. Port Charlotte, maybe not as bad, but that might be wishful thinking, Bobby. I would say right now probably big time impacts to Port Charlotte at this current time with the eye wall moving through. Storm surge probably very high at this current time near Port Charlotte. Alrighty. Rockledge. Okay, let me look that up for you. Rockledge, Florida. Okay, another area on the eastern part of Florida to the north of Palm Bay. Rockledge, outer bands. You see this right here, tornadoes being seen in the outer bands there near Rockledge. So the outer bands are the main impacts right now for Rockledge. But as that storm moves inland, tropical storm impacts will start being seen. We'll start seeing those heavier bands move through, those more heavier rainfall totals. And that means that we'll also see those heavy rainfall totals go up 10 to 15 inches once again, unfortunately, which is just major inland flooding. I did enter Lake Placid, Florida. Definitely in the target spot right now, Camden, in terms of getting hit by the eye wall. But thankfully, being interior Florida, I don't think major storm surge, of course. I see all these bodies of water here, and with all that rain that we're seeing with this storm, definitely inland flooding concerns are very high near Lake Placid. Absolutely, Kyle. Absolutely. Just talked about Rockledge, Clyde. Still expecting some tropical storm impacts there. Definitely the outer bands are still hitting areas around there. So tornado concerns are currently what's going on right now there. How fast is the storm moving? Latest update on this storm. It has slowed down considerably. It's moving at 9 miles per hour to the north-northeast as of 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern. It's slowed down, and it's wobbling a little bit to the north to me on this radar. And that's just bad news right now because that means it's staying in these same areas. So it's moving right now at this current time at 9 miles per hour to the north-northeast. It has made landfall 5 minutes ago. And I'll look at that right now. I'm looking here just to make sure. Like I said, I'm not getting the updates to the exact time right now, but I'm gonna look right now just to make confirmation. All right, so we do have landfall. Okay. So National Hurricane Center said that it made landfall at 3:05 p.m. Eastern Time. So that was 2:05 Central. It made landfall near Cayo Costa, Florida, with maximum sustained winds at 150 miles per hour. So it did weaken by 5 miles per hour, but still strong Category 4. Minimum pressure from the Air Force Hurricane Hunters was 940 millibars. Okay, so it has made landfall. It made landfall about 20 minutes ago, according to the National Hurricane Center. And let's look at where Cayo Costa is. If anybody has an idea of where that is, let me know. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. So just now I just now found out that it has made landfall recently. Now, okay. So here's something that's interesting that I just saw with this. And there's Cap. Okay. It's not showing up on the map, but Cayo Costa is right here, right? It's in this area. Okay. So the center of the hurricane, right? Remember, that's where landfall is officially made, has finally made it through this area right here, otherwise known as Cayo Costa, but we'll say just a few miles south of Boca Grande. That's where landfall has been seen with this hurricane. So 20 minutes ago, officially made landfall. The center of the eye has made it over this area. So again, the eye itself has not, like, for example, if you're in Fort Myers, you're still seeing huge impacts right now with the storm. Thankfully, though, we do have landfall, which means that it can start weakening a little bit. And in fact, it's at 150 miles per hour according to that update. So thanks, Dan, for letting me know about that. Again, 2:05 Central, 3:05 Eastern. Hurricane Ian has officially made landfall. So over Cayo Costa. Yeah, Cayo Costa. All righty. Thank you for that. I was worried. I'm terrified of all the people about to be dealing with this. And same here, Alexis. I know a lot of people here in Northwest Arkansas who are watching right now who've got a lot of friends and family who live down in the coast of Florida, who live in different places in Florida. That's why we're giving updates on the storm, because it's impacting a lot of people in our area. And there's a lot of people I know that are watching right now that may not be from Northwest Arkansas. They're just watching to get updates. And so that's why we're here to give updates on this pretty historical storm, to be honest. It is. In terms of wind speed, in terms of strength, it's up there right now for sure. So absolutely. Clermont in Lake County. Let's go ahead and look at that for you. Okay, Clermont's just to the west of Orlando. So let's look here. Now, Orlando's going to see some impacts. This area is going to see some impacts from the storm. Maybe not hurricane impacts, but high-end tropical storm impacts definitely possible with this storm here. In Clermont, I would say probably high-end tropical storm impacts expected. Of course, being interior Florida, not a lot in the way of storm surge, but definitely expecting some high-end tropical storm impacts near Clermont. So heavy rain, tornado potential right now with these outer bands that are moving through, though maybe not quite as high tornado potential as areas further east, as that as you're a little bit more north of the hurricane itself, of the center of the hurricane. So that's actually a good thing right there. But still, got to keep watching these outer bands, and got to watch later on tonight into the early morning tomorrow if you live near Orlando or Clermont in terms of the tropical storm potential. Deanna, will Northwest Arkansas see anything from the storm? No, it's not going to impact Northwest Arkansas at all. We'll stay sunny. We'll stay cool. Everything's going to be nice here in Northwest Arkansas, thankfully, and we'll avoid this storm. Port Charlotte, I think we talked about that, Bobby, just a moment ago. But Port Charlotte, major impacts right now. The eye wall is moving through Port Charlotte. It's on that northeast side of it, so major storm surge probably being seen. In fact, now starting to get a little bit of that eye now. So starting to get past the inner eye wall, which is the strongest part of the hurricane, and now we are starting to see the eye itself seep into Port Charlotte. So, all right, let's do this now. All right, let's go ahead. Let's try and find a stream here. So stand by. I'm going to keep it on this. All right, so people can see what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and leave the chat right now. I want to see this comment real quick from Carolyn, though. My brother lives in Port Charlotte. No surge at his place on a channel, but his neighbor just lost his roof. Did you? And I did say no about NWA. Yes, no impacts expected from this storm. None at all. We're not going to be even touched by this. So no impacts in Northwest Arkansas. That's a very interesting port, Carolyn, because I talked about that just a moment ago when we were talking about Port Charlotte. Because remember, to reiterate this point, I'm going to remove your comment, but I'm talking about this, Carolyn. This area right here, this eastern area of the storm, is where the most storm surge is typically seen. Pineland got an insane amount of storm surge earlier. Cape Coral is seeing big-time storm surge. Fort Myers Beach, the Fort Myers area, is seeing insane storm surge, probably upwards of 12-plus feet. But in Port Charlotte, now while the eye wall is moving through that area, and there's probably going to be storm surge, or there is storm surge, right? It may not be as bad as what's going on down here, right? But again, the eastern, this area right here, remember that it's acting as a current. This eye wall is, and it's pushing that water into the eastern eye wall, and that's why the biggest storm surge is seen around here, around that area. That's why you were seeing Tampa Bay have that water sucked up out of the bay, because that was the hurricane sucking up the water. It's north of this area, right? And it's sucking up that water and pushing it towards these areas down here. So that's to answer your question, Carolyn. I'm very thankful that is happening right now. I will say this, still expecting some insane impacts. In fact, probably a ton of wind right now, because I was looking at that eye wall that went right through Port Charlotte, and I'm not surprised to hear that somebody lost their roof with this storm. One more question, and I'm going to find a live stream, and then I'll answer some more questions if anybody has any. Shelly said, what about Lakewood Ranch? All righty. Let's look real quick here. Stand by. Okay, Lakewood Ranch. Lakewood Ranch, just to the south of Tampa. Okay, south of St. Petersburg. Let's see here. How come I can't find this? It may not show up on my map here that I've got, but I'm looking here real quick. Okay, it's just to the north of Sarasota, so it's like near the Meadows. So it's in this general area right here. Yes. So you see here, this is the eye wall starting to poke up right there, and let me make sure you can see that. This area right here is where Lakewood Ranch is, right? I'm going to remove myself so you can see a little bit better. What I'm watching is this eye wall, right? If it keeps wobbling a little bit to the north, that means we could see more impacts near Lakewood Ranch, right? So probably strong winds occurring right now. I would bet tropical storm force winds occurring near Lakewood Ranch. Thankfully, it looked like it was more interior Florida, so that means no storm surge expected. But again, still expecting some major impacts. We got to keep an eye on that eye wall, because if it goes a little bit further north, that means the eye wall can hit. That means stronger winds. That means those hurricane force winds are going to start hitting that area. All right, guys, what I'm going to do real quick here is, first of all, I'm going to put this back up on the screen, a little bit of wider view, right? So everybody can see this storm right now. Again, made landfall, Hurricane Ian made landfall officially at 3:05 Eastern, 2:05 Central. So it's made landfall for about 30 minutes now, give or take. All right. So the storm has officially made landfall. It means that we could start seeing this thing weaken a little bit more. We need it to, because it is a high-end Category 4, almost Category 5 type strength, 150-mile-per-hour winds from that latest advisory. So definitely keeping everybody in our thoughts and prayers right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this, right? We're going to find a live stream here. So just stand by here. We're going to try and find a live stream so we can check out what's going on. Okay, this is Fort Myers Beach. Okay, a lot of these cameras are down right now. I've just noticed. And a lot of some of these pictures I'm seeing right now from these last kind of views are terrifying. But I'm going to try and find a live stream here that we can use, a webcam that we can use, so that everybody can see what's going on. But again, it's hard because so many of these cameras are down now because of what's going on. Okay, this is obviously not going to load. So webcam. Let's try and see if we can find a Puta Gorda webcam. All right, let's see here. Is this a webcam? Is this working? Is this working? No, it's not working. And I can't use that either because it's a, Just keep, bear with me here. I'm trying to find a live stream so that we can see what's going on. Seven minutes ago. Okay, that's obviously not live anymore. Oh. Let's see. I've looked at My Radar app has lives that are working. Okay. My Radar app we don't have it on this computer, but maybe I can find something. I'm just trying to find something that we can get a look at what's going on here. You know what? I want to see if we can get a Pineland camera, because the eye is going over Pineland right now. I want to see if we can get a camera of that and see if we could see the satellite eye that's going on, because that would be absolutely awesome if we could. But again, some of these cameras could be down right now, and that makes it kind of a challenge. Yesterday over Key West, I don't know how that camera stayed up. There was huge waves going on near Key West. Is this going to load? Oh, I don't think it is. I don't think that one's going to load. Bear with me here, y'all. I'm trying. No camera there. Pineland. Okay, this one's in black and white. Yeah, it says that these are all offline. All these cameras are offline right now. And that's the thing. That's what makes this so challenging, because we're not, and this is why, and this is pretty much a prime example too of why you evacuate during these storms, because communication's gone. There's no way people can reach you with the storm surge. There's nothing people can do if you're stuck in these. And unfortunately, some people are probably still down there right now getting impacted by this. Let's see if I can Hundo webcam. Yeah. Looks like everything's down right now. So couldn't find a webcam, y'all. But again, that's not a surprise, because this storm is just absolutely insane. Landfall 30 minutes ago.
That was a Cat 4, which everybody's going to say, oh, it wasn't a Cat 5, but it's still going to be
high,
devastating.
155 mile an hour winds. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like 2 miles per hour off.
I know.
But
at that point,
yeah.
Point's moot.
Yeah, but we've been answering questions for everybody.
So I had a question from someone saying, by the way, you love how people come to the house for work right, in the worst possible time. So someone said they have family at Plant City, Florida.
Plant City, Florida. Let's look.
Any updates?
Let's look. Plant City's just to the east of Tampa. So let's see, near Lakeland. Right here.
Yeah, so getting some wind.
Getting some wind and rain. But none of the major hurricane impacts.
You can go ahead and show that.
Yeah, let me show on Mega Doppler here. So there's Plant City. Again, looks like it's well north of the major hurricane impacts, but tropical storm force winds imminent or occurring right now, for sure. And a lot of heavy rain coming too.
You probably didn't tell him I have a super weather kid, did you? At 5.
Oh, I have not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't said that yet. Yeah.
On the thing. On
Yeah.
The call.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
All righty. But yes, Plant City. Looking, it looks like it will avoid most of the major impacts. But again, remember, we've got a ton of rain that's coming with this storm for a lot of areas in Florida. And I said before before all this made landfall and everything, that was what my main concern was, is the amount of rain that we were going to see with this. I mean, when you start talking 15 to 20 inches of rain, that is serious. So definitely Plant City, not hurricane impacts, tropical storm impacts for sure. A lot of inland flooding concerns and a lot of problems coming. CNN just reported 800,000 without power. Wow. 800,000. That's insane. That's a lot. That is a lot. Now, I do have a flash flood warning here, and let's go ahead and see what this flash flood warning says. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pull it. Hold on, stand by here. This computer's being messy. This computer's messing up. Oh no, please don't do this. Okay. So let's see what this flash flood warning says. Flash flood warning for southwestern Charlotte County, Manatee County, Sarasota County. It was issued at 3:15 Eastern. It's until 7:15. There's already been 3 to 6 inches of rain. Additional rainfall amounts of 3 to 6 inches are possible in the warned area. So here's the warned area, right? And let me move my big face out of the way. Let's see if it has any tags on it. Radar estimates. Turn around, don't drown. No considerable or catastrophic tags to it, so no emergencies yet, but definitely the flash flood warnings are going to be hot and heavy pretty soon with this storm for sure. I mean, there's going to be a lot of them. Now, guys, you see this right here. These little pinks that are showing up here. I still think, and this is just my opinion. You see this right here. I think that this is debris. And the reason I think it is because when you look at the CC, you can see these areas here that are showing up, especially on the eastern eye wall, that just lead me to believe that this is debris within the storm. Like right there, that's got to be something. I don't think it's hail. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, considering how strong this storm is and how much lightning there is and how close it is to supercell characteristics. But I'm telling you, it is a major, major, major storm right now, and historic to say the least, for sure. One of the top, one of the strongest storms to make landfall. If anybody has different opinions on what that could be, go ahead and put them in the chat. I think this is debris. I really do think it's debris. I don't think it's hail. But seriously though, this just shows how powerful this hurricane really truly is. All right. Well, if you got any more questions, I'm here to answer them. I want to go ahead and switch to WSI here so we can see the latest path of what we're expecting with this hurricane. And I want the camera to follow me, please. Thank you, camera. Camera's the cameraman. Sometimes he doesn't do a very good job. I'll spot the camera. All right, let's go ahead and get a latest path here on this storm. So stand by. First of all, too, let's go ahead and look at some other stuff here because there's a lot of interesting things going on with this storm that we want to see here. Let's take a look at satellite and radar here. So let's go to WSI. Look at this thing. There's a tornado watch right there. But look at this thing as it approaches landfall. Look at just this eye. Now, it's not a clear eye. So not a satellite. You see these clouds that are in there. This is not a clear eye. It's not your typical, very strong hurricane. Well, it is a strong hurricane. It's not your typical major hurricane that's historically one of the strongest ones to ever make U.S. landfall. Here's my theory on why that is. You see how asymmetrical this storm is right here. There's a tremendous amount of shear. Let me pull this arrow up here real quick so you can see that. Oh, it won't let me. Well, I'm going to point it out here. I'm going to put a line right here. This right here is shear that's kind of impacting the storm right now. Now, we thought last night, and this is what I thought, that the shear would allow for this storm to weaken just a little bit. But this storm is so powerful, and I think, too, the more northeasterly path is keeping it strong because the shear here, right, that's going on is not as strong as what we're seeing up here, right? So the storm took a little bit more of a southerly path, and so that meant that the storm didn't impact the greatest shear, which was more located up in this area right here. So if I'm going to draw a line here real quick, just stand by. I'm just going to draw a little arrow, and this is going to be the line of where the greatest shear was. Right through here. Greatest shear was around this area here where that line is in north. And the original path had it going through that. That's why it had it weakening considerably before landfall. Did not impact that. And that may be why it is still so dang strong. Let's take a look at this. I want to see the high resolution satellite. This may take a little while to load. Wow. Unbelievable. Let's go to the last 6 hours here as it was making landfall. And let's look at the high resolution satellite on this because it is absolutely incredible. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Not a clear eye.
It was a little bit.
Not a little bit.
Towards the very, like the middle of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a perfectly clear eye.
Yeah.
Kind of filling back in.
Mm-hmm.
So no super weather kit today. There's too much news going on. There's a lot of extra stories, and we're rescheduling for next Wednesday. So.
Oh, dang it.
Okay, yeah, Michelle Rainey already got her. There's another one, Mandy Island. Has she commented on there?
Mandy Island.
So she's saying
there's been a lot. We've gone through a lot. We can get to it.
Man, so many people have such an impact,
It-
in Florida, and it's impacting their family,
Mhm.
it's impacting their friends.
Not only have people that have joined the live stream that are from NWA and stuff like that, but there's also been people that live in Florida
Oh
who are
yeah,
on the live stream right now. They're all wanting updates on everything. So that's why we're live, because there's a ton of people being impacted by this.
you got it.
Super, super scary though.
Oh man, crazy.
The rapid intensification last night.
Oh yeah,
Was
waking up to
unbelievable.
that was like, hello,
Yeah.
155.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw the eye wall going through a replacement cycle that widens the wind field, and when that widened the wind field, next thing you know, you had that storm that just rapidly intensified. Then you saw the thunderstorms that were wrapping around it. I thought it was interesting. You could see that pressure dropping. Then it climbed up just a little bit above 950. And then it just went from 954 to 937.
Dramatically.
I mean, nearly a 20 millibar drop in 5 hours.
Unbelievable.
It takes 24 millibars in 24 hours to be known as what's called bombogenesis, where you have literally a bomb cyclone. You probably have heard that before. You've heard that phrase, but bombogenesis is 24 millibars in 24 hours.
So this is basically that.
Oh yeah, I mean it was 5 hours.
It was 5 hours.
It was nearly 20 millibars in 5 hours.
I'll be honest with you, Dan. When I woke up this morning, I woke up at like 7:57 this morning. I remember, and I went to the NHC site and I saw maximum sustained winds 155 miles per hour. I was like, hold on a second.
Is that the gusts?
Yeah, is that the gusts? Am I reading that right? I was clicking through that. I was like, that is the maximum sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. But, I mean, yes, it's not a Category 5, but it's 2 miles per hour off of it. I mean,
here's the thing. I think the National Hurricane Center doesn't like the Category 1 through 5 because a lot of people will discount it.
Yeah.
Even a Category 1 can kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible.
Well, in technicality, this is a stronger hurricane, at least at landfall, than Katrina was.
Yeah. Katrina was a Category 3. Now, one thing that Katrina had was it was a Category 5 out in the sea with 185 mile an hour sustained winds. So that pulled a lot of water up, and that's what the storm surge was already there. And I think people don't realize that. Kind of like with this, storm surge is there. And I see some of the scenes.
Pineland got hammered by storm surge.
Yeah.
Reed Timmer was there, and it was 12 feet plus.
And Charles Peak, he is in Punta Gorda. I saw his stream, and he's doing okay. But Jim Cantori was having trouble standing.
And he almost got struck by lightning. He almost got struck by lightning too.
Really?
He almost got hit by a branch.
I didn't get to see that.
Yeah.
I saw the branch.
By the way, I have a question for you, Dan.
All right.
Because I have a theory.
Okay.
On something here.
What's going on?
And we're going to go to Megadoppler for this.
All right. Let's do that.
Let's go to Megadoppler. Let's go look at this northern side of the storm here. See these little purple areas showing up here? Now, originally I assumed maybe hail, but I think that could be potentially debris. I looked at the CC too, and it didn't really verify that.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think it's. I think it's actually. If we go here, I think it's just an explosive updraft. Because if we go back in time and we look at the echo tops, now see it's so close to the radar, you're not going to see that.
Yeah. This is a Miami, Florida radar.
Oh, well then it's so far from the radar, you're not going to see that. It seems weird.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
So let's go to another site here. Hold on just a sec. GIS show radar sites. We can go to this one. Let's do this. This is a much better view. Look at all the thunderstorm activities.
Tremendous amount of lightning.
There you go.
Wow.
Oh yeah, echo tops. We're talking 42, which is really high for a hurricane. Yeah. If we go back and we load it up, you're going to see a spike in echo tops. So I think personally that is heavier rain. Not necessarily hail. Hail is kind of tough to get.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be
in hurricanes, but I think that pink that you saw was a spike in heavier precipitation. It's higher
strong
reflectivity.
updrafts. Yes.
I don't think it's debris. Debris is not. What's interesting with hurricane debris is that it's laminar flow, meaning it's all moving in one direction essentially, unless you have a tornado that comes through. And so that debris doesn't get lofted or picked up like a tornado. Tornado pulls the debris up, gets carried up into the storm, and it goes for miles and miles and miles. Hurricanes blow the debris, but it's close to the ground.
Yeah.
So you actually don't
So you can't really
see
see it on the CC.
a lot of the CC.
Yeah.
Unless you get those mesovortices that do create some of that.
Well,
damage,
I'm glad we got an answer on that because
yeah.
I was wondering.
I mean, I could be wrong, but judging on everything that I've seen before and judging on the eye wall and the lightning and the increased echo tops, I think it's just a
well, the radar verifies
disease.
that.
Yeah,
because we went to echo tops, we looked right where that pink was.
Yeah,
it's basically right on top of it. Yeah, I saw that.
I believe that.
That's unbelievable, and more are coming.
So, what is Panama City like? Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just a few high clouds.
Yep.
See, that's what I was telling Lisa. I said, I think you'll be fine. The thing I was worried about is flights getting into Panama City, essentially, from other locations. Because, you might have a flight that's coming from, I don't know, Carolina, and they're canceling because of the storm coming in. And so that's always like a trickle-down effect. I've looked at Snap chat locations maps, and the winds are unreal.
Yeah, I was trying to find a live camera to show everybody, and like the webcams, that like we were seeing for Key West yesterday, and and they were all down.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be all down. All the power is gone. We had that view for a little while. So, anyways, I'll let you take over the reins. I got some stuff to do here. Tomorrow I'm going to be out. Knee surgery coming. They moved up my surgery to 11:30 in the morning, so
get it out of the way.
So I don't have to go all day without eating. But no weather, kid. We're watching this really close. Okay, Mandy says I'm here. Tell me about Plant City. Plant City is fine, Mandy. You got tropical storm force winds, but they are on the north side of the storm. Here's a look. There's Plant City. So you could see some of these bands coming in. Not a very good motion for tornado potential with those. You got to have a more northwest motion, and that's not the case with those, which is exactly what you see in Hollopaw, and another one that's developing. Now go down, zoom out a little bit, so you can see Plant City, and there's the storm. Now it is moving kind of northeastward. They will be getting a strong northeasterly wind. But no storm surge, some heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds up to tropical storm force, possibly hurricane. So there could still be some power outages, but not devastating by any means, Mandy. So there you go. It is devastating for the economy.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, they're killing, the Disney and Universal, and think about one day the amount of money and the economy they bring to the area, the local economy. Will they get hit by the hurricane? No. They're going to be east of it.
Excuse me.
The tropical system is going to be east of them.
Yes.
So they're not going to get the eye wall. It's not going to be as bad. They're still going to get some strong
tropical storm force winds.
Tropical storm force winds, possibly maybe low end, near hurricane strength.
Look at all this lightning, though, coming in. Now, these outer bands, though, are impacting Orlando with potential for tornadoes.
Yeah, you can see one.
Yeah.
There's another one developing. So there's a bunch of stuff going on. So, Mandy, there you go. You're welcome. Thank goodness. I know, exactly. But other family, friends, and stuff like that, it's pretty rough. I wonder what the high resolution infrared looks like. Oh yeah, that is just, look at how it's dying though.
Yep.
Soon as it makes it onto shore, it's weakening. The eye's filling in. But boy, look at that explosion of what we call the CDO, the central dense overcast, right there. See how those thunderstorms spiral around the circulation and they spread out? So that is a classic sign of a near Category 5 hurricane.
Unbelievable.
And then you see the colder cloud tops disappearing. Oh, look, there's another one that's popping up. Remember, you were seeing that increased reflectivity?
Mm-hmm.
There it is right there.
Right around
So
the
an
eye. Yep.
explosive thunderstorm.
By the way, this is fairly historic hurricane in terms of strength at landfall.
Yeah, number 5.
Number
I think
5.
it's the 5th strongest, right?
Yep, 5th strongest. Remember, though, we were talking
Andrew,
about
you have Katrina, you have the 1900 storm that hit Galveston,
mm-hmm.
and Michael.
And
then
now Ian.
You got Ian.
I'll tell you what, remember what we talked about at the beginning of the year or beginning of hurricane season when things were quiet? It only takes one.
It only takes one storm to cause it to be a bad year. And
this
Floridians are going to say it was a horrible hurricane season.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're almost into the end of September,
Mm-hmm.
and this is our first U.S. landfalling hurricane.
Mm-hmm. And it's bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Yeah. We knew it was trouble when we saw the invest. When you saw the location.
Right in that spot where you got to watch it.
We were talking about that too, just like for education purposes. I asked you the question. I said, what's the area that would be the most prime area for hurricane development? And we talked about the Caribbean Sea moving up through the peninsula.
Yep.
Is the worst spot because the water is so warm.
Just a little east of the Lesser Antilles.
Yep.
Which is exactly where that
started.
developed.
That's horrible. Yeah,
and then it rode that ridge and it curves right up. Mickey will be safe. There you go.
Yeah.
Orlando's going to get a pretty good
It's going to be pretty
lashing.
Yeah.
How about this? Paul says, we lived in Louisiana in 2020. Laura was bad.
Very bad.
Lake Charles got slammed. I'll never forget the picture of the radar, the radome, you know, with the WSR 88D, the radar that was there. Mm-hmm. It got obliterated. The dome was just destroyed. The parts were in the field. It was just
wiped off the face of the planet.
It was crazy.
Yeah. But when that also speaks to this point too. This is why they tell you to evacuate.
Yeah.
Because communication's gone. Nobody will be able to know where you are until after the hurricane's passed.
I wonder how did Naples fare?
I think, well, Naples was a little bit south of where the eye wall hit. There was reports of tropical storm force winds. Actually, there was a 105-mile-per-hour gust. So actually, that I stand corrected there. Let's go to Mega Doppler here. There was this report right here, right near Naples, 105-mile-per-hour gust at the Naples Municipal Airport Tower at 1:52 p.m. Eastern. North Naples had a 112-mile-per-hour gust at the Naples Grande Beach Resort. So Naples got slammed pretty hard. Good news is, though, I think, at least for Naples, the eye wall, or at least the inner eye wall, didn't make it there. So the storm surge probably wasn't as bad as what we're seeing right now in like Fort Myers or Cape Coral. But Pineland, man, got the worst storm surge.
Yeah.
It was bad. And the inner eye wall is coming back again. That's about to be on the western side of the storm.
Thanks for popping up the Facebook Live, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was on my way in, and then the worker at the house is like, "Hey, I'm coming over now." Like,
yeah. Well,
you got to strike them, otherwise you won't see them.
You got to strike while the iron's hot.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I knew that landfall was imminent, so
you could see it.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we were on one.
And what did it hit as officially? 155 or 150?
305 Eastern, 205 Central.
What was the speed? What did it say it was?
150 miles an hour.
Okay.
Yep.
937 on the pressure still, or
937 on the pressure. That is correct. And by the way,
I was keeping up with it the whole time until right about landfall, and then I saw it was making landfall. So you could see the center of the eye crossing.
Yes, yes.
Which, by the way, someone rightfully so corrected me when I said this will be making landfall this afternoon. Mm-hmm. However, it's the U.S. landfall because they're already made landfall in Cuba.
Yes. So it's made 2 landfalls now.
Possibly 3
Possibly 3. Because it's got to go.
No, it will be 3.
It will be 3. Yeah, because it The second landfall was over one of those. What are they called?
I'm talking about going back out to
Oh,
the Western Atlantic and then
Uh-huh.
curving back into the
wouldn't it take?
Carolinas.
Now I have a question. Wouldn't it technically be like, okay, so the landfall from the National Hurricane Center was here?
Yeah, that's one. That's it.
Well, okay, I was wondering.
There won't be another one.
if there would be
No,
technicality
no,
there.
no.
Yeah.
Like 20 miles inland.
Yeah.
It's not in landfall.
Yeah.
No.
Technicality.
We said Punta Gorda, didn't I? I said that last night. I was
did.
like Fort Myers, Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte. Port Charlotte. If you zoom in, Port Charlotte's right
Hammered.
there.
Getting hammered. Yeah. Bad news. Now I was getting I did have a report from somebody in the comments that said at Port Charlotte, his buddy said that there was no flooding in the channel as of that current time.
That's
there's no
because
surge.
the flow is easterly.
That's what I was saying.
Yep.
I had said the same thing because it's getting the eye wall, but it's not getting the easterly flow like Cape Coral and Fort Myers is. So the biggest storm surge is not there.
This doesn't affect us at all.
Yeah, no impacts expected to NWA at all.
No rain for us at all.
Not good.
Till Thursday, a little
Yeah.
bit Thursday.
How about the eastern part of the state at Melbourne and Port St. Lucia? Well,
Port St. Lucie.
Port St.
Yeah. Lucie, right?
They said LUCIA in the comments, but I think it's LUCIE because
Yeah, it's Lucie. Yeah.
Port Lucie. You know what? I not major impacts, but still tropical storm force winds potentially. Yeah, definitely tropical storm force winds that are going to come through there.
I mean, it is going to weaken, but because it was at 150, it's going to be a lot stronger inland than originally thought.
I'll tell you this though, you probably, if you're near those areas right now, have seen a lot of tornadoes. Man, has this been a prolific tornado maker? And I was being tongue in cheek yesterday, Dan, when I said, "Oh yeah, this storm's got more tornadoes in it than it's been all year in Oklahoma." It might actually be the case.
It might be.
Yeah.
This will bump up the tornado count.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty insane. But yeah, expecting pretty high-end tropical storm force impacts to Melbourne and Port St. Lucie. For sure. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said. One more thing that we need to show is the updated track.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't shown that yet. So stand by. But if anybody has any more questions, we'll answer them real quick and then shut her down. Okay, 145 is 445 miles per hour. Latest update at 3:00. So it has weakened. Now 5 miles per hour. Let me
Wow,
get
look
this.
at the gusts. So
190.
Cow.
So let me get to WSI here. There you go. There's the latest update that was just issued by the National Hurricane Center. It's still, the eye itself is still 10 miles west-southwest of Punta Gorda, Florida.
So
942 pressure.
try something here. First of all, let me just delete all these
Be gone.
so we can zoom in.
Mm-hmm. You
Look
see
at
that
that.
wobble to the north?
There was a little bit of a wobble.
Yep. And that's what I was noticing too. That
Okay.
it was staying just off the coast, and the eye wall just kept going over those same areas.
You remember what I was talking about yesterday? How it makes that hard right turn as it gets closer to land.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of cool. Should we share that with them?
Yes, we should show that.
Okay, so what happens is friction. Here, I'm gonna. Let me think here. How can I draw on this? I can do it at curved polygon, curved edge. Okay, so we'll go into here. Go into scene and no, not earth line, curved line. All right, so kind of set up the set up everything when I was talking about this. Well, guess not. Why can't I add earth line, curve line?
There you go.
And now I can go here and go to arrowhead. Okay. And then we'll just do add earth line, curve line, and arrowhead. All right. So what you're noticing, obviously, is a counterclockwise circulation with the hurricane. Well, what's kind of cool is this isn't work because I can't draw it. Let me do this. I could do it this way, though. We go back to this. The zoom way in. There we go. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
Now I can draw, I think. Yep. All right, so we've got a counterclockwise circulation like this with the storm. Now, friction from the land slows the wind down. So you have it over open water, the wind's going to be a lot stronger. That's why if you've ever traveled or have gone to the islands, the Caribbean, the Bahamas, Grand Cayman, whatever, the wind is always pretty strong coming off the ocean. Well, there's not much friction effects from the ocean. So you have on the east side of this circulation, guess what? The wind is slowing down. And then on the west side of the circulation, you're over the open ocean and the open water. So the wind is going to be stronger on the west side of the circulation, weaker on the east side of the circulation. So if you're looking at this, essentially, it's going to take the track and it's going to, because of the winds are pushing to the east from the west, it'll take that hurricane and make it curve. That's exactly what happened as it was getting closer to land. Friction effects from the land causes that wobble. And then you've got stronger winds on the west side of the center of the eye, which essentially deflects the hurricane. Notice how it took a hard right.
Yep.
I mean, it really did.
It did.
If you're looking at that, it's wobbling, it's going around. It's definitely not a straight path by any means. And it does that when it intensifies, by the way. The hurricane eye kind of develops and wobbles and moves around. And then you see a jog to the northwest. But then it started curving back to the northeast. And then when it was getting closer to land, as you saw the friction effects from the east side of the eye, because think about it. If you're a great way to explain this is, let's say you're driving your car on the road and your wheels are out of alignment. One wheel is perfectly straight on the right side of your car, but the other wheel is pointed in to the road. Your car is going to want to tend to veer over to the right.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what happens with this. The wind on the west side of the center of circulation is stronger. The wind on the east side is weaker, and it's going to deflect and push the hurricane over to the right. So, yeah, there's a lot of great streams that are out there. Weather Channel showing Fort Myers, man, they are getting absolutely obliterated. Yeah, we do. We definitely do. We'll pop it on. All right. Well, I think that's about it. I just wanted to kind of share that because I thought that was kind of cool how that did that.
Yep. But let me show the track real quick. One more thing to show, and then we'll call it good here. I'm going to delete all the keyframes real quick.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Yeah. So there's the current position of the storm. Again, this is the latest update, 10 miles west-southwest of Punta Gorda, Florida. 145-mile-per-hour winds, gusts at 190, but again, it's beginning to weaken as it's made landfall. Let's watch this thing. So latest track has it getting right near Orlando tomorrow morning as a high-end tropical storm at 70-mile-per-hour winds. So still expecting some major impacts to interior Florida with this storm as a high-end tropical storm, maybe even low-end hurricane, especially with how strong it still is right now. So we'll continue to watch that for interior Florida. Daytona Beach definitely could see some major impacts. Let's zoom in here just to check out. Lakeland, Melbourne is still on the eastern side of the cone. Rockledge, Oak Hill, Daytona Beach, Palm Coast. And it's going to get back out over the water. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to re-strengthen, but it looks like, based on the cone, that it will go out over water again and then curve back in to southeast South Carolina. So near Charleston, could see tropical storm impacts. And then after that, it's going to weaken into a depression.
Tornadoes galore.
Yes.
In the Carolinas.
Yes. The tornado potential is very high with this system. We've already seen tornadoes now down in Florida. It's going to be even crazier up in the Carolinas. In fact, I think the tornado potential is the biggest threat with this system when it moves through South Carolina. So that's the latest track right there with this system. So Plant City may still get hit. It's going to get hit, Mandy, but it's not going to be, as a big time hurricane. So here's Plant City right here. It's in the cone, right? So follow me, little camera. Thank you. So Plant City's still in the cone, right, Mandy? But it won't be high-end hurricane impacts like we're seeing right now. It'll be more tropical storm impacts, maybe low-end hurricane wind gusts and stuff like that. A lot of rain, though. That's the biggest concern, Mandy. If I were in Plant City, the thing I'd be more concerned about is the amount of rain. Inland flooding concerns is very high with this system. But yes, Plant City's still going to get hit by some things, but not anything in terms of major hurricane status like we're seeing right now. So let me scroll out here real quick one more time for everybody just to get that latest track. And then we'll call it good. But thanks everybody for coming out to the live stream, about an hour and 30 minutes. Glad we were able to do this and help so many people out. Again, major hurricane, pretty historic storm. So we'll keep an eye on it here in the weather lab, and Dan will have the latest information on the news tonight, starting at 5, and we'll see y'all then. All right.
Be safe, guys.
Be safe. Yep. Be safe. And take it easy. We'll see y'all soon.